And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus on this beautiful Wednesday, August 13th. Temperatures outside in the mid to upper 70s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Wysocki, along with our Ag Director, Bridgette Readel. A gorgeous day out there, Bridgette. I mean, we could be looking at, heat, humidity, 90s. Instead, we're in the 70s in the middle of August.
It was a great day for our teacher appreciation out in the parking lot. Thank you to all who attended.
Which is still going on.
Until 2 o'clock.
So if you're a teacher, head on down. You get free lunch.
Yep. And school staff.
Yeah. School staff too. Yeah.
So I talked with a lady. She does food service at Moorhead Public Schools, and I said, "Well, for once, somebody's cooking you lunch." Yeah. So it is great to have people here. We have a variety of food trucks, games for the kids. It's the right time to get out and do this right before school fires back up.
No doubt. Our teachers are probably one of the most unrecognized or under-recognized professions that's out there for sure.
Absolutely. So it was a great day for it.
No doubt. And like Bridgette said, great weather out there. In fact, we've got great weather depending on what you're looking for. I know this isn't going to make everybody happy. There is rain back in the forecast.
Stop it.
I know. Most areas don't need it, actually. Although, officially out at the airport, of course, we're not growing crops at the airport, but that's where the records are kept. And we're just a little bit above normal in terms of precip, and temperatures were right at normal.
Hey, if you're talking on a year's trajectory, sure, but I need you to space this out because getting 9 inches of rain in the last 20 days, could I have had some of that in, say, June?
No doubt.
Yeah, that's a little much.
And we don't want this coming up here in about another month or so either.
Correct, because it looks like we will be seeing some very wet weather as we get towards the end of September.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that's the way it's panning out. But for today, we're looking at a dry day out there today with temperatures continuing in the 70s. We'll warm up into the low 80s. Just a few afternoon fair weather clouds coming in here later this afternoon with south-southeast winds at 5 to 15. Now, we will see a warm front lifting north tonight, and that's going to trigger off some showers and storms. It looks like after midnight or right around the midnight hour with lows much warmer. We bottomed out in the low to mid 50s this morning. We'll be in the mid to upper 60s overnight tonight with south-southeast winds about 10 to 20. And then Thursday, breezy and more humid with highs into the mid to upper 80s and winds out of the south at 10 to 25. And now there will be a cold front Thursday evening. It looks like after about 5, 6 o'clock, that cold front will be approaching from the north and west. And we're going to see some storms along that front. Some of those are expected to be severe, with the main threat being large hail. We'll be keeping a close eye on that. And then behind that front, the front kind of stalls over the area or nearby all the way through the weekend into early next week. Anytime you have a frontal boundary that's near the area, kind of stalled out, that means a day-to-day chance for showers and storms, unfortunately. Now, it looks like most of the daytime hours are going to be dry. Most of these storms coming in at night. Friday will drop down to a high in the low 80s, and then Friday night we'll see a round of storms. Should be dry on Saturday with low 80s. Another round of storms Saturday night. Those might last during the daytime hours on Sunday. If you're looking for a pick day this weekend, probably Saturday opposed to Sunday. And then another couple of rounds of storms Sunday night and Monday night as we head into next week. Now, a couple of our models are trying to build a heat ridge in here towards the middle and end of next week. That would be good. That shuts the precip off and rises our temperatures back into the 80s and possibly a few lower 90s. Not buying that yet because they've been trying to do this for the last 2 weeks and it hasn't been successful. So we'll see how that pans out. But we could use some drier weather for sure, like we've been talking about.
Wouldn't mind it a bit.
Yeah. And this rain over the next week that we get when this frontal boundary is kind of stalled over us, it looks on average anywhere between, and this is on the low side, 3/4 of an inch, and we could see some areas up to or even more than 2 inches. I know. Your eyes just lit up.
Yeah.
Not in a good way.
Not in a good way.
No.
I don't think anybody could hear my eye roll over the airwaves, but they might have interpreted that. Yes.
Yeah. Not great news in terms of the rainfall, but we could, if it misses us here proper, it's going to hit areas right around the FM area.
Somebody's getting that rain.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Well, hopefully that somebody isn't our assistant ag director for the day, and that's Thomas Jewett. Thomas, how are you today?
I'm doing good.
Good. So, could you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Thomas Jewett. I'm a sophomore at BCN,
Well, let's use real words. What's BCN?
Barnes County North.
Thank you.
It's a school over by Wimbledon, North Dakota. I hope to be a fifth-generation farmer, as my dad is the fourth-generation farmer, and hopefully I can take over that someday. I'm very big into farm safety. I've been everywhere with farm safety. I've been able to attend camps about farm safety. I've been able to teach classes about farm safety. I've even been to Washington, D.C. to teach youth about farm safety, so I feel like that's kind of why I'm here today.
All
I've been
right.
able to teach farm safety, so I'm glad to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you.
That's awesome.
So when you went to DC, was that for 4-H or was it a different organization?
So it was Ignite by 4-H, so it's ran by 4-H, but I got invited by Progressive Farm and Ag Safety
Okay.
to teach youth on farm safety, so I did a class on PTO safety and pinch points. So it's sort of through 4-H, but
Okay, I'm curious, when you were doing that for PTOs, pinch points, etc. What were you using for examples? Did you have something there to live demonstrate?
yeah, so there was this tractor with this rotary mower on the back, and it used a drill to turn this shaft, and then there was like this little character guy that you could put next to that shaft, and it'd pick them up like as if somebody's getting wrapped around a PTO. And I also did with the reaction time, tested people's reaction time. So in the amount of time that the normal person's reaction time is 0.2 seconds. So in that amount of time, you could have been wrapped around a PTO like 20-something times, and that can lead to serious injury or death. So it was surprising to other people, and it was weird because most everybody there wasn't really in a farming background. They did a lot of ranch. So,
Okay,
yeah,
but they're still using PTOs.
Yep,
You know,
because you're mixing feed.
Mix and feed, loaders, balers, not loaders, mowers,
Yep.
balers. So I still think your demonstration probably hit the mark.
It did, because I also implemented mowers, and a lot of them have used mowers before, so.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I think that was a pretty good spot to be in.
And tell us, what got you interested in farm safety so much?
So it's a little sad. My cousin, he was involved in a farm safety incident where a chain snapped and it went through the back of a window, and he his
Back of a
heart.
tractor cab?
Yep. His heart stopped, and he sadly passed away. So, from there, when we started farming, my mom said like, "Hey, I'm gonna put you in this camp, and so you can learn some stuff." And then from there, I've just enjoyed it. I went 2 years to the NDSU Farm and Ranch Safety Camp put on by Angie Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, like, I've gotten to know Angie real well, and she's given me opportunities to teach youth about farm safety.
So here's my first question. Mom said you were going to camp. Did you want to go?
Well, from any other camp that I've been to, it's something that, like, I, liked it. It was fun, but I was kind of like, oh, it's just going to be another camp. No, I enjoyed it. It was jam-packed 3-4 days, and it was... You just didn't stop. It was thing after thing after thing, and you learned so much. So I enjoyed it a lot.
That ties into a little bit with one of the current headlines we have, and that is Farm Rescue, which is an organization based right here in North Dakota, which is there to help farmers in need through when they have either illness, injury, or other things happen on the farm. And one of the things that Farm Rescue is certainly always looking for is donations, but they're also looking for volunteers. And we talked about this a little bit before. Pretty excited about Farm Rescue yourself, and you've got a little bit of background with that with your family.
Yep. So my dad volunteers in Farm Rescue. Normally he'll do stuff with semi as he has his Class A CDL. So if you're interested in farm safety, there's a lot of positions you can volunteer for, but one of the big ones that they will invite you on for is if you do have a Class A CDL. So, yeah. And I think when I'm older enough to do farm rescue, I will definitely do it.
Well, they're looking for volunteers. You might not be quite old enough yet to run some of the equipment for them, but for those who are listening who maybe have a little free time, could be retired, want to certainly this time of the year we're going to talk about grain carts, combines. You might be doing something as far as haying, moving hay, baling, etc. for those with cattle, and Farm Rescue goes through about 600 to 700 volunteers throughout the season, because they're currently doing about 100 cases per year, and they are also now well over 1,200 families served in the last 20 years. And so what they're looking for is more folks who are willing to step up. If you have been volunteering with Farm Rescue for the last 20 years, you may not have been just sort of retired. You may be really retired by now. And some of their volunteers sadly have passed away just as they've gotten older. So they're looking to replenish that volunteer lineup.
Yeah, and they also allow service to many different states, too.
10 of them.
Yep, and that's a lot of states that they just go to and help farmers out.
So for you, as our Assistant Ag Director today, what you should know is that our very first, back in January, was a young FFA member from the Enderlin FFA chapter. Her family farms at Fort Ransom, and she and her family were the number 800 family that was helped by Farm Rescue. So there's a lot of tie-ins to what we do here, as well as the work we do with them. They're a great organization.
Very good organization.
So with that, do you know any families who have been supported by Farm Rescue?
One of our neighbors or neighboring person,
Sure.
there was these gates that fell on him.
Oh.
So Farm Rescue came and planted his crops
Crop that
for
year.
him. Yep.
Good. One thing I did want to ask you when you were talking earlier about your cousin who sadly passed away after the chain broke, came through the window on the cab. When you talk to folks about that, what do you suggest could be done differently so that accident doesn't happen again?
So, kind of, it wasn't a full-on chain. There was using a rope and then a chain also connected to something
Yep.
else. So when they're tugging on that rope, the chain snapped,
Mhm.
flinging that through the window. And that was a wrong hookup point. I mean, they're in a rush trying to get the tractor out. They had stuff to do. That's what the main thing is farmers are always in a rush when this stuff happens.
Yeah, getting
So,
stuck doesn't
yeah.
happen in a day where you got all sorts of time.
Yeah. So it's slowing down. One of my big things is for one of my 4-H projects, I made a chain thing. So it goes on the back of a window of a tractor, helps stop a chain. It's hard to do something like that because, is there enough metal there to stop the momentum of that chain? But mostly for when using chains nowadays, there's more ropes. There's more options. There's ropes. There's
It can be done differently.
yeah, differently, and it's just take some time on it because
Yes.
it can go south really quick.
Yes, it can.
Thomas, what would be your biggest piece of advice in terms of farm safety?
Just slow down because that's how most farm accidents happen. It's just go 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 go. Like
Easier said than done, though, because
Yeah.
when you're in that rush, wait, I've got to slow things down.
yeah, and I can say that I've been in that too. That it's been like, okay, I gotta go 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 go, and then before I do something, I'm like, wait, this is dangerous. I gotta slow down.
Right.
And I even did it the other day, and it was, I can even admit it that I was hooking up the grain cart for the tractor, and I had it running. So I was trying to, I was gonna put the PTO on with the tractor running. You shouldn't do that because what if the tractor just turns on the PTO and I'm putting it on? And so I was like, wait, I taught this. I shouldn't be doing this. It's when you're in a go, go, go moment, you can't think.
Right.
Right.
So just being able to have something there to tell you, okay, I need to slow down and do this.
Okay, do you think part of this is when farmers are so busy, they're busy, especially this time of the year. They're busy all the time, but especially we're coming up on harvest. Does lack of sleep, is that part of the problem where you're so tired and you're all right, I got to get this done.
Thomas
Yeah,
and I are
I can say yes
yes.
because I know when I did that, I did not sleep very well that night before. And
Okay.
it's okay, especially your just mindset of it is I can't wait.
Mhm.
This has got to get done. And
Right.
especially I don't think caffeine ties to it, but I didn't have my caffeine that morning either. So
You're too young to worry about your caffeine intake. So
Wow.
maybe just slow your roll on the Mountain Dew I saw outside.
So,
All right.
yeah.
We're going to catch up with the livestock market update from the American Ag Network. When we return, we're going to be joined by Anna Sather. She is with Farm in the Dell. We will continue to have Thomas with us as our Assistant Ag Director for the day. More to come. Be right back. Thanks for watching us today on Facebook, YouTube, and Acres TV. And if your technology is not running smoothly, maybe you're not getting those things to stream. Well, you should be having a conversation with Chris Sherman over at Tech Support Farm. Chris will make sure that you don't get hacked, that if something bad happens to your internet service, he can make sure it's all recovered, and he's looking out for you, farmers, ranchers, and agribusinesses. We are waiting for our wheat harvest to begin. Once our Here We Grow field, where we're custom farming 20 acres of wheat, comes to fruition and we start harvesting, well, we're going to rely on several of our sponsors. One of them is Ellingson Companies, because they do a fantastic job when it comes to drainage as well as other underground work, and Kotaco Fuels and Propane, who we're going to talk to today when we get to a little bit later in the show. Now we have joining us Anna Sather. Anna is with the Farm in the Dell at Moorhead. Anna, what's Farm in the Dell?
Farm in the Dell is a nonprofit organization located just north of Moorhead, Minnesota. Our mission is actually to transform disabilities into abilities. We do that by providing meaningful work and life experiences for individuals with developmental disabilities in a community farm setting. So our operation kicks off in about April each year, and we go through early October. We have 25 acres on our space out north of Moorhead, and about 11 of those acres is a big produce garden. So our garden engineers, as we call them, the individuals with disabilities who come and work with us, they do everything to tend to the garden. They do a lot of planting in the spring, and then they do everything what it takes to run the garden through the middle of the season. And then come mid-July is when harvest starts. And we sell our produce in a variety of different ways, which I can get to in a little bit. But overall, we want to make sure that we are providing a regular and steady paycheck for them. We're teaching them all the life skills of what it takes to, grow their own food. And then also those soft skills of what it takes to, work with the supervisor, work as a team member, communicate with other people, how to stay positive when things get tough out on the farm, things like that. And we also want to make sure that they feel lifted up and celebrated and respected and cherished in the way that they deserve. We're actually a Christian ministry out there too. So it's a really, really beautiful mission, and I'm just so glad to be a part of it.
Well, Anna, our intern that's with us today, our Assistant Ag Director, Thomas Jewett, we were talking before. There was a couple of questions that you had for Anna. Would you like to start with the questions today?
So on the website, there's something called a CSA. As for someone like me who probably wouldn't know what that is, what's a CSA?
That's a great question. So CSA stands for Community Supported Agriculture, and it's a really cool model where individuals like you can make a down payment in the spring, and that actually helps us purchase things like seed and other needed items for the garden. And then you essentially are a shareholder for the whole season, meaning that on a weekly basis, you can pick up your produce from us. So starting in about early to mid-July through mid-September, you can pick your time and location, and each week you stick to that. And then you come and pick up the produce that's ready in the garden. So early in the season, it's a lot of leafy green vegetables and radishes and onions and things like that. And then as the season progresses, you get to, see all the benefits of the later crops. So right now we're doing a lot of sweet corn, which is ready, and we're very excited about it. We've got a lot of potatoes and kohlrabi and peas and green beans and things like that. We actually have over 50 different crops at the farm. So it's really cool. For the last few years, we've had about 100, hovering around 100 CSA shareholders, and they are just really intimately involved in the farm. We get a touch point with them on a weekly basis, as I mentioned, and many of them have, become really invested volunteers at the farm. So it's like a big family out there. And if you join the CSA program, which is really cool. So I encourage you guys to check it out next year.
So there's CSA, but you have a couple of other opportunities as well. And one of them is coming up really soon. We should probably get that one in so people can know about it and its next date on the calendar.
Yep. So you're referring to Table to Farm, which we are so excited about. So this is the third year that we have done our Table to Farm dinner series. The second event is actually tomorrow, and actually we just sold the last ticket for that one. But there's another date coming up in September. So Thursday, September 11th, we have a few spots left for that one. But essentially, we wanted to find ways to bring more people out to the farm to experience the magic of it, right? And really experience the mission. they have the opportunity to come out and it's a multi-course dinner that is actually harvested directly from our garden. And then we also get meat and dairy products from local farmers just down the road from us as well, which is really cool. But Heart and Soul Cafe, they take the produce from our garden and those other ingredients, which I just shared, and they make it into a beautiful multi-course meal. We're eating it out in the field, right among the flowers and the crops. It's so beautiful. We just lay out all the tables. We have about 75 people coming to the event tomorrow. So we're just thrilled that people are interested in experiencing that and meeting the farmers that grow the food and seeing farm life and seeing how the food is grown and things like that. There will also be a program involved where our executive director, Matt Larson, will get up and speak about the farm and again, share what we do. It's kind of an educational opportunity to learn more about what we do. And then we also will have a little guest partner speaker at each event too. So just other farmers that we want to lift up or that we work really closely with. So actually tomorrow we have a couple of individuals from Cows & Co. Coming to speak at the event. And then in September, it's actually going to be Jorge Zadillo, who's the Fargo plant manager at the Case IH Fargo plant. And we have been partnering with them for the last couple years too. So yes, we are very, very excited and honored to have them come and speak. And there's also live music and garden tours, and we'll have a social before the dinner kicks off. So we are just thrilled. And you know, the concept of farm to table is so cool. And we were trying to think of ways to kind of flip that on its head, and like bringing the table out to the farm is table to farm, right? It's like not farm to table. So we kind of flipped the name. We're bringing the table out to the farm. And so again, it's a really cool opportunity for people to really experience what we do and see farm life.
That's probably one of the best things that could happen throughout the year. And also, folks that want to come out and do some pick, you have an opportunity for them as well. So they can have a little farm life themselves, right, Anna?
Yes, actually, we launched pick at the farm a couple of years ago. Well, I think for quite a few years they had actually been doing pick pumpkins, but we actually opened up our strawberry patch for the first time a couple of years ago. And actually we did one post on Facebook, and that next day we had almost 300 people coming to pick strawberries. So it's really cool to see the excitement of people wanting to, again, pick their own produce and see how it's grown and where it's grown and who grows it, things like that. And it's also really cool to hear the comments as people are entering the field, because many times people who pick strawberries specifically are families with young children, right? And you'll hear those 3 and 4 year olds and even older children say, you know, they've never tasted a strawberry right off the vine before, or even knew that it grew on a plant. So it's really cool to experience that magic through the child's eyes and watch them, you know, discover new produce items. And so like I said, we have strawberries in June. And then throughout the season, we have picks actually every Thursday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And then again from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And people can come out. Typically right now during the season, we have a lot of herbs and flowers. Sometimes, depending on what's available or what we have extra of, we might allow other produce picking, such as I know that they've been opening it up to sweet corn and a few other items lately. And then again, in the fall, it's going to be those gourds and pumpkins and squash, which again are really exciting things to pick for those young families.
So if there were people that wanted to come out and do these things, like where can they sign up for these events, or where are they located at?
Yeah, great question. So all of these events are physically located at the farm. So we're just north of Moorhead up on Highway 9. We have a big red sign along the highway. But if they want to learn more, they can visit our website at farminthedelrrv.org. So tickets for the Table to Farm Dinner Series, those are available on our website. If you want to stop in for any one of our pick days, those are just show up whenever you're available. No tickets necessary. And also, I should have mentioned as well, we have our market. This is one thing that we're very excited about, actually, because we've participated in a handful of community markets around town over the last few years, which have been wonderful. But we felt like we got to a point where we could open up a market on site at Farm in the Dell. So last year, we launched a market in our barn, which is really, really cool. So actually, Thursdays from 4 to 6. So during that pick time, people can also come in and shop for pre-picked items. Which is really, really cool. So, and that's also, again, just show up. It's available for those 2 hours for families to come. So, I encourage you to check out the website and learn more. And actually, if we have a second too, I'd love to share about Fall Festival, which is another event that we have coming up on. It's actually 2 different Saturdays in September, September 20th and September 27th. This event has been going on for many years at Farm in the Dell. No tickets necessary for this one either. Just show up to the event with your family. But it's essentially a big festival, right? Like a big carnival where you can come and go on barrel train rides and pick pumpkins. And actually this year we have Bison Strides coming into. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. I was going to say, sounds like we need to bring you back on because there's a lot more coming up on the days, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So, folks, we're going to quick grab the news, and when we come back, we've got more to talk about. But, Anna, I'm just going to message you now. We'll rebook you. We'll be right back. Welcome to a very busy Weather and Ag in Focus. You know, things are going great when you got them lined up out in the hallway to get in. So what we're going to do is Wednesday weather trivia is going to happen the second Wednesday of this week. That'll be tomorrow on Thursday.
This week it is.
We're just going to push that off.
Right.
And we joined in the studio today. We not only have our Assistant Ag Director for the day, Thomas Jewett, but then we also have Justin Moline with Kotaco Fuels and Propane. Okay, let's just jump right into that because we always have the discussion beforehand. What should we talk about today? Well, now there's all this discussion about we're going to get rid of DEF. But, Justin, maybe not. Share with what you know.
Well, yeah, I appreciate you bringing this up because as we were conversing, I dug a little deeper into this and did my own kind of investigation. And, you know, this all falls under the banner of the Clean Air Act, right? Which was a massive bill that passed years ago. And
1972.
And now they're repealing or they're working towards poking at certain areas, right? Okay. Which this is an interesting thing that I really found. The biggest thing that they are proposing to repeal is this the 2009 endangerment finding. So it sounds really fancy, right? What's an endangerment finding, right? But this was the research done that determined that greenhouse gases threaten public health and welfare, which is really the legal foundation for regulating the greenhouse gas emissions. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it appears to, I'm no lawyer. Okay,
That's
so
fair.
disclaimer, I'm no lawyer, but what this appears to me is when they poke at that, they're really trying to say, hey, the basis for all of this legislation, we're going to try to debunk, so to speak.
Yep, we're going to look for it. We're going to look back at this and say whether or not it was true, good, and otherwise.
Yep.
Okay.
And I don't have a hill to die on with this by any means, but it does have some effect on the DEF industry potentially.
So,
but not immediately.
So if they were to, decrease the DEF usage or maybe get rid of it, would they get rid of it like all, or would there still be some DEF, like
depending on the vehicle or the industry?
So there's vehicles now that have the DEF, but like if they were to totally get rid of it, would there still be some vehicles that still have DEF, or would they fully get rid of DEF? Or
wow, Thomas, you are good at this job. Well done.
I don't need to be here.
Yeah. That's a really great question. But the way I look at it is they've spent so much time and energy building in the DEF in these pieces of equipment, and they have so much regulation and legalities behind it that they won't just repeal it all.
Sure.
My thought is they would roll it back if that's what they actually chose to do. But they've invested so much into this, I don't see this happening really soon. I mean, you have all the major manufacturers that have revamped and designed all of these DEF systems, and there's a big dollar that comes to play here.
Because we're talking passenger vehicles, over-the-road trucks, and farm equipment are all affected by it.
Yep.
Interesting point.
Yeah.
Oh.
Here's another tidbit though that I learned because I actually believed or thought that the DEF systems in these pieces of equipment was really there to regulate or to lessen the greenhouse gas emissions.
Sure, that's what it was meant to be, right?
No. There's another component that actually there's two kind of, we'll call them pollutants for lack of a better term, right?
Sure.
There's a greenhouse gas which comes out of your exhaust, but another thing that comes out of your exhaust is the nitrogen oxide. Mm-hmm. Okay, so DEF is specifically targeted towards the nitrogen oxide.
Really?
Yep.
I feel like the dumbest kid in the room right now because I'm thinking, how did I not see that?
Well, no, now you could be the second dumbest. I'll take the kid. I had no clue. Really? Wow.
And relatively new to me too, to be
Okay.
honest. So it's and this repeal of the Clean Air Act, some of the components to it really focus on the greenhouse gas emissions, not affected to the NO2 or the NOx is the designation. So which means DEF is not on the chopping block at the moment.
And I thought I read somewhere when you mentioned that that's not on the chopping block yet. I believe there is an open comment period to EPA because they do that. Like when we try to bring new active ingredient herbicides to the market, there's an open comment period. There's one on dicamba. There's been one on pollinator species. There's been all sorts of stuff. I think there's a comment period on DEF as well.
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
Yeah, the same process that it goes through. So they kind of present the recommendations, they have a comment period, and then they take the next steps.
And anyone can comment on that. Anyone in this room, whether it's from Thomas as an end user, Dean and I as consumers, and yourself, Justin, with Kotaco Fuels and Propane.
That's correct.
So, what I was thinking about is you were saying how they've put so much research and time into these DEF systems. I was thinking about, because I do believe that C&H Industrial, they tried to get Cummins to do a DEF system, but that's why they don't have Cummins engines anymore, is because Cummins didn't want to implement DEF into their engines. So, yeah, like if we're getting rid of DEF, they've stopped using a Cummins engine, having to build their own type of engine, and then.
So are you talking in like the Steiger quad tracks with the higher horsepowers? There is a loophole in there for the high horsepowers, and I know I've talked about it before. I just have to remember what it is.
Because they just made the new quad track, the 715.
Yep.
It's above since they made it so big, it doesn't have DEF.
DEF, right. And there's this, John Deere's got one similar.
Yep.
What's the horsepower on that 715? Do you remember?
715 horsepower. The 9RX, I don't know what the new one is called, but it's...
I want to say once you're over, was it like 680 or 700 horsepower, something like that, there's a loophole in there. Okay. Sorry, guys. Oh, wait. We're getting hand signals from your dad. Can you read those? This is not even a grain cart operation.
Yeah, no.
Okay. One other question. So for Kotaco, do you bring DEF to the farm? When we talk about bulk fuels, propane, et cetera, do you do that as well for your customers?
We sure do. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. We're a supplier of DEF.
And we talked a little bit about your trade area, because we know that that's expanded to where Thomas is at.
Yep. So if you were stationed somewhere, like, let's say you're stationed 70 miles away from someone, are you going to drive that 70 miles to give them that and give them the same price as somebody that's 10 miles away?
Probably. So, and I say probably because there's a few factors in that, but most likely, yes, in our service territory, our bulk delivery price for, say, any product, not just DEF, but whether it's diesel, gas, propane, that's going to be the same in our delivery territory. So regardless if you're 10 or 20 or 70 miles away, we're going to provide generally the same pricing.
Yeah, okay. Because, I mean, that's one thing out of a consumer side. I wouldn't want to buy, these inputs for my vehicles if they're going to be a lot more than some other place. So
yeah, and the idea with us too, with the idea of the bulk delivery, is if you buy in enough quantity, you'll have some cost savings along with that, right? Mm-hmm. So we can deliver fuel cheaper, is the idea, cheaper than you can buy it at the truck stop pump.
Yeah. So yeah, that's good.
Are you saving for some? Do you need a transport load? What's going on over there at the farm?
I don't know. I'm not in charge of that.
Oh, really? I was hoping there was a checkbook ready to come on out.
Oh.
Lay it down.
I wish.
Start negotiating. All right. So what about, I'm thinking ahead towards fall. If we have a short fall, we got a lot of corn sitting out there, at least according to USDA yesterday, and it might get a little wet. Propane situation. How do we stand? Any thoughts or hopes and prayers for all of us?
Yeah. Well, if you look at the national standpoint, inventories are building. Mm-hmm. That's a good thing, but that doesn't coincide with what's happening locally. So locally, propane is already moving hot and heavy in this region, and we are already struggling a little bit. We're struggling on a little bit of struggle and to secure propane, because these plants that we source propane from here in North Dakota, it's an interesting thing because they produce it ratably, means the same amount pretty much every day, week over week. So, and they don't have a lot of storage. Mm-hmm. So they don't build up the storage to stockpile for when there's a huge demand. They have to sell it consistently as they go. So when we have a run on propane, we tend to get a shortage. So there is, if there's a heavy drying season, then there will be I'm pretty confident to say that it's going to be a hard time to get some propane.
But I just want to reiterate to the homeowners, you prioritize
yes.
home fueling first.
Absolutely.
Heating.
We've never had an issue. We've never had an issue taking care of our home heating customers.
Yeah, that's a big thing people ask
and really, so what happens is if we run out locally, it really just means we have to go further for it.
Sure.
So we've had to go to South Dakota. We've had to go all the way to Kansas in the worst of the seasons to bring propane back.
Ooh, that explains the price.
Right. Yes.
Because of transport.
And that's why you buy propane now.
I like the way you think.
We're still going to need that checkbook. Okay.
Okay.
As soon as you're ready.
But an interesting part, bring up prices, right? So, I mean,
Supply and demand.
well, yes, and the supply is building nationally. It's not building locally. And the pricing for this time of year is very favorable, just historically. Looking back over the past 5 to 10 years, price point is good right now. Okay. But, when you get a run on propane, huge dryer season, that price will spike very quickly.
We had that happen. Boy, it's been at least 10 years where there was sort of that collision of events with, we had a home heating run. There was a big spike in March. People were still trying to buy dryer gas, so to speak. There was a lot happening. And I remember propane shooting up pretty rapidly in that time frame. Again, that's driven by supply and demand. That is not Kotaco just thought they'd take a higher profit margin.
Oh, 100%. And, the general thought is supply and demand drives all price, but that's not 100% true. Yeah. There, in the local market, supply and demand certainly does drive price in that season, but the propane pricing market is really tied to the overall oil market too.
Oh, yes.
So as it moves, as the price of oil moves, price of propane moves. So the thought that summer is always your cheapest time to buy propane is not even true 50% of the time.
Wow. Well, guys, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. We're going to do a quick weather recap here. We've got, taking a look at radar now, we've got some showers in extreme northeastern parts of South Dakota. That's along a warm front. We're starting to get some of those clouds entering the southern valley here, and that warm front is going to slowly lift north as we head throughout the rest of the evening, and we'll see more showers and storms develop further north into the FM area here as we head towards midnight. And then as we head into tomorrow, a warm, humid one with temperatures in the mid to upper 80s. Severe storms possible tomorrow evening as a cold front moves into the area. And then on and off storms, unfortunately, all the way through the weekend, guys. Not the best news in terms of rainfall, unfortunately.
Unfortunately. Thank you, Justin, for coming in with Kotaco Fuels and Propane. Thank you, Thomas Jewett, for being our Assistant Ag Director today.
Great job, Thomas. We're going to have you back, buddy.
Thank you.
Back. So for Bridgette, myself, want to thank everybody for joining us. Don't go anywhere. The Jay Thomas Show is coming up next.